Time once again for Shelton City Council looking ahead with interim city manager Mark Ziegler. And Mark, Tuesday night, full agenda. I'm going to say it's a full agenda because you have 3 public hearings and a street vacation. So let's start at the top of the list. Public hearing for supplemental budget. Can you summarize that for everybody?
Absolutely. So a supplemental budget is essentially a correction of the current adopted budget. So our budget has to be adopted prior to the end of the previous year for the next year. So this 2023 budget was adopted in 2022, actually November of 2022. So obviously conditions change. So we are essentially correcting the known changes that we have experienced in 2023. So it just gives us the opportunity to come back to council, formally adopt those and memorialize those changes within the budget for this year. Some of those changes are we've carried over some purchasing of some vehicles that we couldn't get delivered last year. So those funds transferred up to 2023. We were hoping to get those in 22 and didn't realize that. So we're moving those over. We received some grant funding, some donations and things like that. We memorialized that we didn't have in the budget back in 2022 for preparation of 23. And then our general fund, we're experiencing, some increasing costs in providing general fund services in the community. And our general fund covers streets and police and fire, and then kind of some general services because finance and administration and things like that. Those are just the main group expenditures within the general fund. And we're experiencing higher costs. We've had higher liability, insurance costs, inflation certainly affected us, and then labor costs have certainly gone up with salaries and wages and health insurance and benefits and things like that. So we have to make some adjustments based on that. And so we are reducing our general fund to a certain extent to try to manage that and keep that fund in good shape, if you will. And that's kind of an ongoing process that we'll be seeing moving into 2024 and beyond. So it's kind of a normal process for municipalities, especially small municipalities that have static, if you will, or stagnant, kind of revenue streams where sales tax is fairly consistent year after year. B&O tax is fairly consistent year after year. And then property tax has a 1% limit each year. So as our expenses increase and the revenue stays fairly flat, we have to adjust our expenses to maintain a balanced budget accordingly. So that's what we're doing on Tuesday.
The next item is the intent to vacate 5th Street between Grove and Coda. And this is basically next to the police department, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and on the east side of the Civic Center, where the police department parks their vehicles, we received, with the assistance from our state delegation, funds to create a secure parking lot there. Right now, our police officers walk in and out of that building, not really able to secure their surroundings, right? Especially if they get a call and they're in the building and they run out of the building. They don't know if they're, what they're walking into, and they have every intent to get into a vehicle and respond to a call. So part of this project is to fence off that area and keep, anybody that might want to do harm to those individuals at a distance. And then to do so, we have to vacate that street so it eliminate the one-way traffic, the northbound traffic from Grove to Coda. Now, to do that, it's not a huge impact. It's a small neighborhood on the south side of Grove Street, but we really think it's important for our first responders, our court employees, and our Mason employees.
Another hearing on the agenda is annexation of Meadows Edge. Now, this is property essentially between Island Lake and the high school, right?
Essentially, yeah, exactly right. Just north of the Shelton Springs subdivision by Shelton High School. It fronts Shelton Springs Road. about 40 acres, potentially 36 building lots. This is a developer that needs city services. There's sewer and water basically right at their doorstep, if you will. And so they want those city services to extend into their subdivision. So at that point, they would annex to the city. They would get full use of city services, extend the services throughout their subdivision, and be able to build out and create more housing in their community. So this is the first step in that annexation process. And once we get through the public hearing and action later on, the council would approve that annexation, and they would go through the permitting process to start with civil improvements, build the streets, put in the utilities, and then hopefully not too long after build some houses.
And the last item on the business agenda, but not the least, is a public hearing on park regulations. And this is more of just to update to time to get in line with our times. And
yeah, a little bit. There's some cleanup within our park regulations that, just over time, laws change or just language changes, and it's more appropriate to memorialize that in that code. But more recently, like you said, times have changed. Back in 2012, the city prohibited smoking in city parks as a public health measure and enjoyment for all within our city parks. I think it went fairly well. We haven't had a whole lot of issues with that, and we don't do a lot of proactive enforcement of that. It's more of an education piece, and more of an education that that you're sharing those facilities with other individuals. So it's it's about respect of the park and the other individuals. And so as times have changed, people have taken up vaping more so, and that could impact users in the facility, whether it's children or anybody else. We've seen a large spike. Mason County Health Department has provided us some data on the growing use of vaping products. And so they've recommended that we adopt these regulations, much as Mason County did in their part. So we're taking that to council for approval. It's already been through our Citizens Advisory Committee for recommendation. So that's part of the process is vetting this through our Citizens Advisory Committee, and council will hear it on the 6th and go to action on the 20th. So choose.
now there's these public hearings. You can go to the meeting in person in the courtroom at the Civic Center. You can log into the Zoom and you can make comment that way. What if you can't make either one of those? You watch it on YouTube and say, oh, I want to participate. How do I do that?
So they provide written comment. So our city clerk and myself can be emailed or written. We can take that comment actually in person. If you want to come in and talk to us, give us a call. We can take that comment and pass it on. It's a matter of record as well. So there's opportunities to, I think, meet most everybody in our communities.
All right. Well, thanks for the time, Mark,
Yeah.
as always. And we'll see you in some form on Tuesday night.
Great.